Great. Well, welcome back. Thank you for sticking around and for joining us for the new release rundown. And we're joined again by Ethan from Zulu's Board Game Cafe.
Hello.
And you brought a variety of games, although it seemed like this week was a little harder to find new releases. So we have a couple other selections as well. Is that right?
Yeah, most of them are pretty new. Some of them are within this year.
Okay. Okay. All right.
In a couple months.
A big
Most
broad
of them
category.
are pretty new. Yeah.
Did you want to talk about your store at all before we get into that?
Sure. Yeah. Zulu's Board Game Cafe in Bothell, Washington, downtown. Food, beer, games, giant library of games to play, like about 200 titles. They're all free to play. And it's just a great place to hang out, play Magic cards, board games, miniature games. We're even getting into Warhammer now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we were just talking about war crimes.
Yeah, we can't do the giant battles, but we're doing like Kill Team and some of the smaller games pretty well. So, yeah, come check it out for sure.
Great. And so you said you were just getting into Death Card. Is that in Kill Team?
I got a Death Guard army, and I've been playing that. I barely know what I'm doing, and I'm winning every game.
Sweet.
Because they just don't die.
Yeah, Death Card's great. So, which of these games would you like to start out with?
I like to start lighter,
Okay. So we're starting with.
We'll start with Conquest for sure. Why don't we start with Corinth here, because I can reach it easily. And you want it right here? Boom.
Sure. Yeah.
There you
Well,
go.
let's take the. You've got it open, so
Let's
we're
take
gonna
it
play around with it. So Corinth.
Yeah.
Sebastian Pauchon. Maybe.
Days of Wonder.
Okay.
It's the new. Roll and Rights are just taking over the scene right now.
Yep. They are very hot.
This game is brand new, and it's one of the newer ones actually. So, in this game, there's this harbor card, I guess, where you roll dice and you get to put your dice on there. The dice don't really matter what their number is, except for you sort them, and then players go around and they get to pick what they want to work on.
Are these the different player factions, or?
No, so these are different things you can do, different markets.
Okay.
The top one's gold, the bottom one is a goat, so you can get gold or goats.
Okay.
And then in between are markets. And on the card, you can actually see that there are 4 different markets you can go to. So basically, however many dice you roll, say there's 2 6s, they'd go on the top, and then everything else would go in ascending order from the bottom. So
Got it.
1, 2, 3. And maybe you might not get up to blue or yellow if you don't have enough dice. And then however many dice are in that spot, you get to mark off that many spots. So if you go to the blue market, you can mark off 3 wood or whatever.
So, cool. So you mark off the 3 wood.
And then you get points.
So you're basically
if you complete the whole thing, you get points.
Okay.
The other cool thing it does is you have what's called the steward. So if for whatever reason you don't get an action, you get to do the steward. And there's this little track, I don't know if people can see that, but this little dude starts here and you get to move a certain amount of spaces, and wherever you end, you get that thing. But every time you use them, you start off where you were ended last time, and you can't cross your path or anything. So you have to actually, it's like a little mini game.
Oh, because
it
kind of reminds me of Let's Make a Bus Route.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. So it does, like every roll 'em right is a little bit different. Which
I was going to ask, like, how is this one different or distinct from the others? So, because the theme is, it looks like you're building different civilizations.
You're doing a market. You have this harbor. You're trying to bring goods to market. You're picking them up at the harbor. You're bringing them in.
Got it.
And trying to fill the shelves, I guess.
So how is this different from other roll and rights? It seems to have like a little bit of that track. You're also kind of like building up resources to end up scoring them.
Right.
But if you already have roll and rights or you're really big into them, what is the kind of distinction from this?
Part of it is theme. I mean, everyone's trying to do a little bit different theme.
Sure.
And like I said, like the steward thing I haven't seen in a roll and right thing, and the way the dice get distributed is very different. It's a lot, I don't know, a lot more going on, I guess, in the way you distribute the dice. It's not just like, hey, roll a dice, those are your rewards. Everyone has this shared pool of dice, which is common, but you also, the way they get sorted is way different. So, and again, it's easy to pick up and play. If you're new to board games, like roll and rights are great for casual players and hardcore players, because you can play very casually and just, okay, this is kind of fun, and marking stuff off, and it's easy. But you can also get way in depth and try to figure out how to use the steward to your benefit. And when marking off things, like you have 3 things to mark off, right? So you have like, In this one, it's 2. You mark off 2 wood, you get 3 points. If you mark off 3 wood in the other column, you get 5 points. And if you go for 4 wood or 5 wood, whatever it is, you get 10 points. So trying to balance, do I want to go for the quick rewards, low points, or heavy reward and get more points is a thing. Because you may never see that reward again. You might get 3 of your 5 wood, and if you don't complete it, you don't get any points.
Sure.
So it's a little bit of risk reward.
Okay. So and obviously it seems like people who are big into roll and writes should probably check this out.
Definitely.
Are there?
But you don't have to be. It could be your first one. And
Well, that was going to be my question. Is like,
Yeah.
is there a non-roll and write game that you feel like this, is not going to be the same because roll and writes are really distinct. But
yeah.
is there another one that you think feels like similar enough that like if I was a big fan of some other Mediterranean kind of economy game, that this would be like the natural step into it?
Oh man, I'm sure there's definitely.
Maybe somebody in chat knows.
There's definitely something out there. Yeah, exactly. I personally don't think I've played anything other than the fact that it's a roll and write genre. I don't think I've played anything specifically like this one.
Okay.
To my knowledge, but
Are there any other roll and writes that you think are like this? Because again, the track, that Steward track really reminded me of Let's Make a Bus Route.
Yeah.
Are there other ones that you think this is kind of similar to? Other than just roll
other
and
than the
writes
fact that it's a roll and write,
Okay.
yeah, it didn't. I haven't played all of them yet, so
I don't
it's
know.
hard
I don't
to
know if
say.
anybody
I
has
just-
played
yeah,
every
I
roll and
just
write
got
at this
into
point.
them.
Okay.
But no, not that I can think of off the top of my head.
Okay.
But I
Cool.
did enjoy this one quite a bit.
Great. So a good quality roll and write.
I think it's a good quality roll and write.
Great.
Days
What-
of Wonder makes pretty good games, so.
No, they don't put out a lot of games, but they spend a
But
lot of
they
time
put
with the
games.
ones they do.
And
put out.
that's important. They're not just. It's not just a money grab. They're trying to put
Mm-hmm.
out a good quality game, and I like it too because you could play it with like family or friends. I mean, it's really
But not
a game
both.
that can.
If you like your family,
No.
you're not permitted to play with them.
not with your friends.
Okay.
No, but you can play with your kids and stuff. You know what I mean?
Sure.
And they might not be able to play it on their own, but once you got them going, like they'd get it.
Okay.
So I like that aspect about it.
What's next?
I brought another smaller game,
Okay.
which is called Second Chance by Uwe Rosenberg. He's kind of a game designer that's become pretty popular. Feast of
Yep.
Odin,
Yep.
Agricola.
He's
Caverna.
pretty classic, yeah.
He usually makes these really intense, hardcore games that last the rest of your life,
Mm-hmm.
and they're super intense. This game takes 5-10 minutes. Anyone can play it, and it's super cool. It's kind of similar to Patchwork, which he
Mm-hmm.
also made.
So it's also kind of interesting that there seems to be more and more of a trend of, for lack of a better term, like a Tetris-y kind of game.
Yes.
Where you're trying to fit tiles together and kind of build up the board, basically. And like, so
Yeah.
these are some completed boards it looks like you've played through.
Your space is an issue.
Mm-hmm.
And this game, it is Tetris-y. It's super easy, which I
And
like.
so this is basically another roll and write. It's a flip and draw. I
Kind
think
of,
is what
yeah,
somebody
it's kind
told
of
me
a
it
roll and
was.
write, but there's no rolling. There's
Sure.
just
Yeah, flip and
cards.
draw.
I like flip and draw. It's a cool name. Basically, you have two types of cards. So
Mm-hmm.
this cards here, these are just references. But if you turn them over, you can see they have different backs.
Okay. So these are
You can take
the different
those three
kinds
out.
of shape.
Yeah, you can take those out. If you flip those cards over, you can see that on the backs of them, actually. So
Oh,
there's
okay.
two types. This type here, if you want to pull all those out, I guess, there should be about 17. Those are your starters. Or no, it's the other way around. Sorry, the other ones are the starters. There we go. Boom. So these are your starting cards, and everyone basically gets dealt one of these. You'd get one, I'd get one.
Okay.
We're like, boom.
Oh, and these are just pretty complex
That's just-
ones.
it's a pretty complex
And that's
one.
the seed kind of shape that you have to deal with.
Yep, and so everyone's will be different. The only thing that matters, you can put it anywhere, but it has to touch this circle in the center. So you draw that shape, and then from then on, you get to flip over two cards at the same time, and everyone gets to pick one or the other. And unlike real life, where second chances are a little more rare, in this game, you get them every time you need one. So it's nice. It's like a safety net. And what a second chance is, if you can't fit either of those shapes on your board, you get one card that's just for you. You flip over the next card. If you can draw it, you draw it, and you survive. If you can't draw it, you're out.
Oh, interesting. So it's like a flip and draw with elimination of some
Yes. So you do.
kind. So are you just
actually
trying to
need-
be the last person standing?
No. So
Oh,
that's
okay.
the thing. You can lose or you can get knocked out and still win.
Oh, okay.
You're trying to fill in the most squares. So my game I played with my wife actually got super close here.
Was it this one?
It was this one, believe it or not.
Yeah, there's not a whole lot of empty
I got
spaces
down
there.
to one space. It's kind of baloney. So if you're the first person out, you get to draw a 1 on one of your squares, or your empty squares, and it counts as a point.
Okay.
So because we had a little discrepancy, we both couldn't draw either shapes, so we took turns drawing our own card. It
Okay.
doesn't really explain that in the rules,
Sure.
so I don't know if it's simultaneous or what. But anyway, I technically went out first, so I drew a 1 on my thing. She couldn't draw one, so I went down to having 1 space left. She went down to having 2 spaces left, and I won. And I let her
So
know.
you beat your wife on a technicality.
Basically, yeah. If she would have drawn first, she would have won.
How does she feel about that? Was she pleased with that
She
situation?
was so excited about that. She was just like, "Good job, babe. You're the best at games."
So yeah, so this seems kind of neat.
I'll tell you what, too. The other cool thing was trying to come up with different shading styles for all of our.
Are you
our
supposed to do
squares.
that?
Well, you don't want it to just look like one big block.
Oh, yeah,
you know what
sure,
I mean?
I
You want to be
suppose.
able to distinguish.
You wanted
So
to have it look nicer than
they-
just it's a big block
Yeah.
of graphite.
And the backs can be used too, which is pretty cool.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And as a bonus, he makes a game called Cottage Garden. You actually get extra tiles for that game as well. So
Oh, so it's promo tiles for a different game.
promo tiles for
So you
another
can
of his
introduce the
games.
Easter Bunny to Cottage Garden.
So I'm thinking
Okay.
the only way you get that is through here.
All right, that's one way to
That
push
I
it.
know. Maybe you can, but
Cool.
I really enjoyed this game. It's super cheap. You can be playing within minutes, and you can play with. I mean, I think it says up to 6, but really, you could play with as many people as you want.
Yep.
As many people as you have pencils and paper.
Flip and draw.
You could literally, yeah. This game's great
You do it with graph paper. I mean,
can
you
get
don't
your
you
own
don't
graph
need to
paper.
use their particular
don't.
sheet.
at all. So once you run out of the 400 sheets they give you, you can.
Great.
You've mastered it.
If Marion is watching, I know she's one of our Gen Con employees who really likes roll and writes, and probably flip and draws.
Draw.
So
are you coining that right now, or is that a thing?
I've seen it somewhere else. Like
Okay.
I can't actually lay claim to
Okay.
that. I'm pretty sure that I've seen it somewhere else.
All right.
Because I think the Welcome to Your Perfect Home is the same kind of idea. You're not rolling dice, you're flipping a card.
Flipping a
like
card,
technically, Let's Make a Bus Route is also flip and draw. I don't know if you
I need
played
to
that
play
one.
Let's Make a Bus
Let's Make a
Route.
Bus Route
Sounds
is
pretty
it's
awesome.
It's a super adorable flip and draw
Okay.
from Japan, and you're basically just trying to make a bus route, but it's like
Okay.
Corinth's Steward, where you're making a route
you
through this
can't
thing and you can't cross over yourself. But
I
you're
like
trying
that.
to like pick up students and deliver them to universities, and you're trying to pick up tourists and deliver them to.
It kind of has that snake.
Yep.
If you played the snake game on your phone, which who hasn't, you can't run over yourself or you die.
But the cool thing with Let's Make a Bus Route is there's like it's played over like 8 or 12 rounds.
Okay.
I think that Kristen is probably in chat. She really likes Let's Make a Bus Route, so she might be able to talk
Hey,
more about it
Kristen.
in chat. But there's like 8 or 12 cards or something like that, and they're all the same. Or that everybody it kind of goes off the same thing. So you're trying to figure out how you want to route, and you know kind of what's coming up, but you don't
Yeah.
know when it's coming up, and you're trying to maximize your points that way. So it's very adorable too in like the way the layout and the graphic design is.
So you're saying you're picking up kids and stuff?
Oh, you know, you're picking up students, and you have to like. So the student you'll pick up at this intersection, and then they get dropped off at the next school
Okay.
that you pass by, and you might score points based on how many students you picked up before you did that, or you might pick up tourists, and the next tourist destination you pass by, you then score points based on how many tourists you had when you hit that point.
But you're basically in control of their lives.
Yep.
And if you crash,
Well, it's Let's Make a
game
Bus
over.
Route, not speed.
Okay.
So I'm pretty sure
Not
that
speed?
that being a Japanese bus driver, you are required to follow all the rules of the road.
there could be an expansion though. I'm just
There
saying.
could be. Somehow I doubt it will be like the brutal Car Wars expansion.
I think that might be a game. I don't know. I'm just saying. We'll work on that one later.
Yeah, we'll workshop that and see how,
Yeah.
how that develops.
A little more intense.
Let's see what Kristen thinks.
Yeah. So speaking of Japanese games, where is Little Town? Oh, it's actually you have it over there. Little Town. I actually did some research on this game. It just came out in America, like this week, I believe, and it was originally developed in Japan. And the game is basically the same. I don't think they've changed a lot of the rules, but they did some reskins and kind of, changed it, I guess, for America, I guess. I don't know.
Or just repackage it. Like,
But
they
yeah,
gotta translate the rules.
rebranding.
Update things.
But this game is Really fun. I've really enjoyed this game. It's kind of a town building, worker placement sort of game where you share resources with your opponents.
Okay. Because you're building a town.
Because you're building a town. So you
And
want
no
to be
man
the
is
best.
an island.
You want to be the best town builder, but you need the help of your opponents sometimes to be that person. So basically everyone gets a color, and I pre-sorted everything out because I'm awesome like that.
Well, it comes with an axe meeple.
Yeah, I wasn't sure if that was an
that what
axe
we
or a
call
claw hammer.
An axle pull? Well, it
know what I
looks.
mean?
If you look at the cover, there's the.
Oh, that's definitely an axe.
Yeah, it's an axe.
See, I thought maybe that was the claw hammer part.
Nope. Have you used a claw hammer recently? Sure. Because the claw is on the other side of the hammer.
I guess they go the wed. Yeah, all right. It's an axe.
All right.
Yes.
So you're building a town.
Yeah. You are building a town.
And you get little like sledgehammer meeple man.
Okay,
He's got
so
beefy arms.
Speaking of the meeples, there's a star in there, and this is the most ingenious.
Oh.
But like I'm not saying no one's ever done this, but I've never seen
here
it
it is.
before. So most games use like a square, cube, or whatever, or some kind of thing to mark your victory points. This actually has a star with a hole in the middle, so you can see the victory points through the star, as opposed to just covering it up.
Okay.
Now, not that that's a issue people have been dealing with for years. Like, I can't see my score. Okay.
That is a terrible burden that
Yeah.
board games have been suffering under
Like-
for many years.
Okay, I can see it says 16 on the left and 18 on the right. How many points do I have? You know, not the end of the world.
Our long national
But-
nightmare is finally over.
Now we can finally see exactly how many points we have.
Okay.
Through the meeple.
All right.
So,
Yeah, these meeples are very cute. Little houses. It may be hard to see, but these sledgehammer meeple guys have beefy arms.
dude, he's got some guns.
So, how does this game play?
All right.
So we're building a town together. We're sharing resources.
You have basically a market. I don't know if you want to pull out all the tiles,
We bought some.
but you basically generate a market on the bottom of the board. And then you're going to place a guy on your turn. Everyone gets to take turns going around until you run out of buff builders. And you get to place your guy on this board.
Uh-huh.
And then you get to generate, I think it's fish, stone, wheat, and wood, obviously. Wood's in every game. Wood and stone.
Wood, wheat, stone.
Every game.
It's almost like there's an influential
Gold.
game that has
I know.
a legacy that is still being felt everywhere.
So basically with this guy, I would get a fish and a wood for going
Okay.
there. So you get all 9 adjacent squares.
Sure.
But what happens too is there's a build spot, so you can build buildings and that are all in this market. This market would be full and it'd be
Okay.
played out way better than it looks right now. But you can build a building
Sure.
and do that. Yeah, put it there. And then the next guy goes and he goes here. Oh, you also get to place your house on it. So whatever, purple house. But we'll pretend it's an enemy. So purple guy owns that.
Mm-hmm.
If another color guy wants to go here and he gets all these rewards and he wants to use this one, he has to pay the purple guy 1 gold to use
Okay.
it. But he has access to it. He doesn't get the points. Purple gets the 8 victory points, but he can turn in now 2 stone just to get 5 victory points.
Okay. Can you
So-
build on top of the fish and
No.
shut off the fish?
So you can't do that.
Okay.
You have to. You have fish will never go away. They survive forever.
Infinite fish.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I guess if you run out of cubes, then you're out of
Sure,
fish.
sure.
There is limited resources in this game, but basically it's just building towns, placing workers, and getting victory points, and using your resources wisely to do so. So.
Sure. But it's almost like it kind of feels like tableau building, where you're
A little bit.
We're all sharing the same tableau, basically.
Yeah, exactly. We're all building the same village, but you want to be the best architect, the most revered architect. I did the most to help the village. I'm the best, sort of thing.
Or you built the buildings together in the good spot and had good real estate, so people had to use your buildings.
Yeah, exactly. It's played over 4 rounds.
So it goes pretty quick then.
It's a quick game. Yeah, I think
It
it's
says
about,
45 minutes. It claims 45
It
minutes.
says 45, which means add 45 more minutes if it's your first time. And yeah, whatever. But again, it's a super cool game. It looks cute. It's not reinventing the wheel.
So
but
you had a chance to play through it?
Yeah, I had a really fun time.
So when you say it's a super cool game, what was the thing that you liked the most about it, other than the innovation of being able to see your score through the?
I like getting tons of resources. So when this map gets full, So the first turn, there's not a lot going on. You put your guy down, you get like a wood and a fish and maybe a stone, and you're like, boring. But then once you get a couple rounds in, there's all these building tiles out here, and you're just collecting resources like crazy, and you're turning things in. And what you can do is you pick the order you collect them in. So you might have this one here, like it says, you can turn in 2 stone to get 5 victory points.
Yep.
And then there might be something over here that lets you get
gives
stone.
You stone.
So you can pick the stone and then turn them into victory points, and then the chain of events totally unfolds as however you choose to do it.
I feel like there's a huge missed opportunity here to have branded this as Deadwood, though. With the Deadwood movie having come out, I mean, this just reminds me of those first couple episodes of Deadwood when they're building the town and there's nothing there.
Yeah, I don't know why, but I kind of thought of Game of Thrones, where the Hound is helping those people build their town, and then I think they just get obliterated and he leaves. But
great, thanks for spoiling that for me, because I haven't seen that part.
What?
I am so behind.
Oh.
I can't actually blame you. It's not your fault.
It's only been out for like 3 years, so it's okay. And I apologize to everyone else for the massive spoiler there. That has nothing to do with the actual storyline. Yeah, no, seriously though, this one, Yellow makes great games. They look great, they're inexpensive, and they're fun. And those are key factors, I think, when making a long-term game that's going to stick around for a long time.
So one of the things we often try to ask is like the spite level of a game, and I think for roll and writes,
by the way.
Oh yeah, does it actually? Oh, is it different resources?
You can, it's the same resources, but they're laid out differently. So you can actually lay out. You're like, I'm bored of that one, but options.
So
using your components to the max.
The roll and writes we talked about. Roll and writes tend not to be super spiteful because you're really kind of doing your own thing.
You're on your own.
What about Little Town? Like, can you do a lot to mess with other players, or is it really just you're building resources that they might use and help you with?
Well, there's a couple things you can do. One, you can block someone by putting your worker there. So each round, you get to place your workers, and once a worker's been placed there, other than the build spot, only one guy can go there. So if you know a worker's like needs that resource, you can, maybe I don't need it as much, but he needs it way more, so I'm going to put my worker there and utilize all the stuff there that maybe they've been building there. If you just build all your buildings around a spot and you're like, I'm going to take advantage of this, it's not going to happen. Sure. Because someone else is going to grab it and reap your rewards. So,
but then they got to pay you like 9 gold.
They got to pay you some money, so that's what I'm saying. Like you can a little bit block them, but you're also paying for it. But you could also go there and not use them, and not pay the gold. So that's the main way where you can kind of.
But it doesn't seem to be hyper competitive.
No, not in the way like you're not fighting each other and stuff. You're not having pickaxe wars.
It kind of seems, or like chipped axe wars.
Yeah, chipped axe.
But it seems like it's kind of a relatively low key. We build a settlement and kind of build an engine.
You can play it with your friends and leave as friends. Yes.
Okay. What would you like to talk about next?
Let's get into this Unlock here.
Okay.
I think the Unlock franchise has actually been around for a while now. So.
But this is kind of a new expression of it. It certainly looks like it's a lot bigger than their usual stuff.
Yeah, they've changed their format, and I think someone said that this is how they sell them in Europe. So normally they release 3 games. They're $15 each. They're one-time play, and you don't destroy them like Exit. So you can give them to a friend, which is cool. But this one is $30, and you get all 3 adventures in one box. So it's kind of it's a win-win. I mean, I don't know what that's the average person buy 1 out of every 3 or how it works, but
I think it depends on like the price point. You know, they probably were releasing them at 15 just so that there's a lower entry, especially when they're kind of a new type of game.
Right.
But now that maybe they've been established, they're more comfortable with a higher price point for more value.
I think they have about 12 games out right now, 12 or 15. Well, 15 with this one, I think. But you get all 3 adventures. One is like I think you're trapped in a video game, and you're trying to escape that. Then you have one that's a Sherlock Holmes adventure.
Please tell me the third one is a holodeck that combines the previous 2 ones. So you're trapped in a Sherlock Holmes video game?
Close.
Damn it.
But it's actually Alice in Wonderland. And there's not really a good picture on that one. I didn't open them because
then spoilers.
Yeah, if I show you the cards, you'll see what's coming. And that wouldn't be good. That would give away the mystery. But this game uses an app And
for people who aren't familiar,
it's free.
If people aren't familiar, Unlock is escape room in a box or escape room in a deck of cards kind of experience.
Right. These ones to me kind of play more like if you've ever played one on your cell phone, where you're basically matching 2 items to make a number, or you're trying to figure out a puzzle or whatever that's on the card, or using a machine. Then you find, it gives you a number. You find that card. It tells you if you're right or wrong. If you're wrong, you lose time on your thing.
Sure.
On your app. If you're right, you move on. You get more clues, and you're confused again.
Just like any mystery.
It's fantastic. I've never beat one in the time limit, and I love them.
So this is Unlock Adventures, though.
Adventures, yep.
Is there anything different about it other than it's 3 unlocks together in one?
Not that I know, because I haven't got a chance to go through them yet. Oh, actually, no. They've introduced, I think they're called mechanisms or something like that now. It's in the book. But yeah, they have a new thing. They had machines, and now they have, maybe the machines have changed. I don't know, but there's something new in here I was reading. It was yesterday, so I can't remember. But yeah, from what I understand, there's a new.
Some of the tools work differently than they've worked in previous editions. Words have failed.
Have gone away. It's also, they've put them in order from difficulty. So the video game 1 insert coin is recommended to go first. It's the easiest. Sherlock Holmes is second. Alice in Wonderland is the hardest.
That makes sense.
Sometimes they really make you think outside of the box, and it's
outside
harder
of the
than
box.
just.
So you're saying there's clues in the
Not
outside of the box?
This box, but just outside of the hypothetical box.
Sure.
The imaginary box.
It's a running joke because I think Christian, our host for the previous show, was terrified of the idea of having to be stuck in one of these games and not being able to get out until he solved it.
That's like a B-movie idea right there. Someone can make.
Jumanjo.
The next thing is the escape room. No, for sure though. This game is awesome, and if you like
these 3 games,
if you like these games, yeah, you can always go buy one for $15, try it out, or I think they actually have a tutorial which comes in the game, but you can also, I think they have print and play stuff as well, and you can try it out before you play it and be like, okay, this game's for me.
Cool.
Or you can come to Zulu's and play one of our demos.
Yeah. Well, so if you are into basically if you like the idea of escape rooms, then this is the Unlock and what was the other one?
Exit.
Yeah, Unlock and Exit. Those you should check those out.
They were kind of last year's hotness as far as roll and write is this year's. Last year's was these Unlock.
How long until the roll and write escape room game?
Oh man, someone's got it. See, combining genres.
Roll and escape.
That's right. I want an escape room RPG, man, where you go really deep.
I think that's called Tomb of Horrors.
Boom. All right, sit down pretty aggressively. Sorry.
All right. What next?
Let's get into something really cool. It's sitting here. It's daunting me. I'm going to let you touch it.
Okay. You don't trust yourself to touch Batman
No, I
Talisman?
do, but, I want you to pull things out of the box, I guess. I don't want to have all the fun.
Okay.
Come on. I'm having too much fun.
This is a big board.
This game,
It's a big one.
Talisman's been around forever.
Yep.
It's one of the games that got me into board gaming in general. The board is massive. You're not even done yet. Almost. Boom. Board complete. I love Talisman. If you're not familiar with Talisman, you basically have this massive board. You start on the outside. You roll dice. You get to move however many spaces you rolled, and then you encounter things or
Stuff
get
happens.
experience. You get items. You level up, and you're trying to get to the middle and defeat something. Usually it's a monster.
And this one you're playing supervillains.
This one.
And you're going to take over Arkham Asylum or something like that? Is that right?
Yeah, so that's kind of the different thing is you're in Arkham Asylum, which is pretty popular in the Batman universe. And
It may be well known.
it's one of the things. And you actually get to play as a villain, which is becoming also another thing with Disney's Villainous and other games where you're playing the bad guy roles.
See, bad guys are cool.
Bad guys are awesome. And that's what I like about it is because I like Batman. I love Batman. Batman's great. They put out a Batman game and everyone wants to be Batman. Like,
Hey,
no offense, I don't want to be Robin. I'm sorry. I just don't. Nightwing, all right, I guess. But anyway, I want to be the villains because the Batman villains are some of the best villains. I mean, and they even have some of the, Bane and Clayface and Scarecrow and all those guys. It's not just Riddler.
The Penguin.
And corny old Penguin, but
I like how,
even them.
Penguin is too far for you, but Clayface.
Clayface is awesome.
But
He's
Penguin is too weird.
clearly a very viable, realistic character.
Sure.
It could definitely exist.
I mean, however you need to justify this to yourself.
But you got Poison Ivy and Harley Quinn. You got all the greats in there, basically. So you're basically trying to escape Arkham Asylum, and I assume because you escaped, you get to be in control of the crime scene because you're free, and everybody else is in the asylum. And Batman is roaming around trying to stop you, or slow you down at least.
Yep.
So
he's roaming around, Batman's just lounging somewhere in Arkham Asylum, and he decides to come take you out.
But other than Batman, there's also a load of encounters that are in 3 different levels. So the outer level, you get encounter level 1 encounters, 2 and level 3.
So like the classic Talisman experience is basically you go around the outer track until you unlock the ability to go into the next track.
Yeah, you have to find a security
Then you
key
do
or
that
something.
track until you get to the next track, and then you try to get into like the final central area and win.
Yes, and the inner track is always the hardest. Usually it's the hardest encounters and stuff like that. If counters don't get defeated, they stay out there and stuff like that, and other people can fight them. You have cunning and strength, and generally you need both, but you usually want to favor one or the other, and they made these cool little stat trackers.
So what's going to happen, I think, is...
Yeah, I think it fits on the board, which it probably won't stay the whole game, but boop, the intention is there. The other thing I liked about it is there's something called fate tokens in Talisman, and that basically lets you do like a re-roll or something like that. In this game, the fate tokens are actually Two Faces coins. So one side is a coin, and then the other side's all scratched up. And so that doesn't have any, you're not flipping it or anything like that.
Sure.
But for visual, it looks cool.
Yeah, it's a lot of minor touches.
And then for some reason you get Talisman Gold through Arkham Asylum. It doesn't make any sense. But it's Talisman, so they have to do something, I guess.
Well, I mean, it's also like it's Batman villains. It's not like they make a whole lot of sense either.
No.
Just like the Riddler hid coins somewhere. It's great.
Absolutely. But you got a lot of characters in here. The art's super cool. It's kind of just a reskin of a game.
Yep.
It's USAopoly doing their thing.
But Talisman,
which is great,
Talisman is a classic that a lot of people
very
love.
Well. Exactly.
And so it's just kind of an adventure-y board game. You wander around, you have encounters, you do stuff, and you keep doing stuff.
You're sneaking around Arkham Asylum trying to escape and not get caught. And if you fight Batman, he beats you down, but he doesn't kill you necessarily.
Well, because he's Batman.
And they've actually not simplified the rules, but made it a little bit easier.
Well, that's what I was going to ask. Is Talisman's a classic?
It can be very
But
long,
do you?
though.
Yes, I mean it is a classic. It's a very old game. Do you feel like it is a good intro game to somebody who's not deep into board games? Because the Batman theme obviously is going to pull people in. And Talisman is not a super complex game, moment to moment.
Right.
So how do you feel like this would be if somebody is just kind of getting into board games?
I actually think Talisman is a great way to get into board games because it's not.
It's a great way gateway?
Nah. It's not. Look, it's not Catan.
Did you just my joke? I think you did.
Oh, we're telling jokes now? No. The reason I like this game is probably because I helped me get into board gaming when I was like 12 years old. I played Talisman. And
so you got a lot of history with Talisman.
For sure. But it's easy enough to understand where you're just rolling dice, moving. I mean, the mechanic of rolling dice and moving on a board has been around since Candyland and Chutes and Ladders.
Yep.
And I don't want to play those games anymore. I want to do the next level of that. And Talisman's that next level.
Okay.
But what's nice about this one is you can still play Talisman the traditional way, but they've changed a few things where, like, if you die in Talisman, you pick a new character and you start all over. And that's like, great, there's no chance I'm going to win. And this one, you actually get to inherit all your items and stuff like that to your character. So you start over in some way, you take a penalty, but you're still in the game. You don't lose all your stuff.
Sure.
And also, you only need 5 experience points to level up for every level instead of 7.
Okay.
I think there's a few other things you can do.
So it's a little bit more accessible version of Talisman.
A little more accessible.
So if you love Batman, if you love Talisman, obviously, but then maybe if you kind of want a game that's a little bit of a bridge between, say, modern board games and traditional family board games, do you think this would kind of form that bridge?
It's a gateway game for sure.
Great. Okay.
I mean, I think so. You want a little more than Monopoly has to offer, but you're not quite ready for the Twilight Imperiums of the world.
But once you finish this, straight to the Twilight Imperium tournament.
Twilight Imperium, you're ready.
Okay.
Great game.
What do you want to talk about
next? And you get
next?
sweet Batman miniatures. Come on. Let's do one key. This game I actually had a lot of fun with. It came out 2 or 3 months ago.
This theme is confusing me because there's a bunch
Sure.
of, like, the cover tells me one thing.
What's
And
the cover tell you?
The cover tells me, like, Asian themed with some weird monsters, but then there's a leprechaun, and then there's an astronaut. So I'm lost at this point.
So the cover, and I think that's part of this. This cover doesn't explain this game. So that's maybe an issue, but it makes more sense once you get into it, but it doesn't really tell you anything about the game. And so I want people to get into this game because I think it's a lot more fun than it looks. It's not expensive, and I had a really good time playing it. I actually thought it was going to be kind of silly, which it is, but it's in a good way.
So what is it?
Okay, so first of all, this is going to kill me about this game. It already did. I'm a sleever. I sleeve my board games. Okay?
We've been over this.
Let's get past that. You cannot sleeve these cards.
Well, you mean...
I mean, you could do
you
something.
could probably laminate them.
You could probably laminate them if you have the rest of your life to do so and cut them out, but I'm not doing that. Come on. So the game is like shuffle the cards.
Oh, but like, wait, so...
Can you go ahead
Can you
and-
just explain to me why there are
I
tiny
will.
dinosaurs in an egg container
We'll get
being
there.
fed with a hamster bottle from a tiny person?
Because there just are.
Okay,
You'll
great.
see.
Okay.
But one of the first things this game tells you to do is to shuffle the deck of cards.
Okay.
Go ahead and give that a whirl.
We're going to do a table wash.
You're doing it smarter than me. I tried to do it in my hands.
Yep, not
and
going
they
to work.
kept sticking together. But I didn't have all this space. My table is about half the size, and all right, you're doing a pretty good job. But at some point, they're going to get nicked up, and it's hard for me.
I
But the
feel,
game is fun.
like Big Sleeve has gotten to you and Emma and is really just encouraging people to buy sleeves.
If they could make a sleeve a unique sleeve for every single one of these, that'd be insane.
Yeah, it would.
Okay, but this game, here's what's going on. It's like code names where one person is the clue sort of person.
Okay.
And another person, and the rest of the people, I should say, are trying to figure out what the one key is. You have 11 keys. Each one of these pictures is a key. I'm going to move this out of the way so we have a little bit of room. So you randomly throw down 11 of these cards, right?
Okay.
And then I'm just going to toss blue, blue, blue. One of these is the key that the leader has picked.
Okay.
And then the rest of the people are called travelers, I think. So we're close to 11, whatever. Let's say that this scarecrow tending a field that's grown on a sponge with worms coming out of it
Okay.
is the key.
Scarecrow, the worm, scarecrow, farmer, sponge man?
Yeah, there's
Great.
a lot going on in all these pictures.
There are a
and
lot.
none of them make any sense. Let's be clear on that. I mean, this one is a skunk carving into a bar of soap, I think.
Okay. I've got a monkey
Yeah.
making lemonade.
Yeah, so the pictures are super interesting. It kind of reminds me of Spyfall,
Or Dixit, I think.
Dixit,
The
even the
ridiculousness
Mysterium,
of
those
this is
things
much
where
more
they have
Dixit.
it's got the picture association
Yep.
aspect.
Sure.
So it has an app too, which
this
you
is my
don't
kind of card.
need, but it's got a timer and some other
Okay.
things on it that are helpful.
So, let's say that you are the person, you're the leader.
I'm the leader.
You're trying to get us to guess one of these?
No.
Okay.
Well, yes and no. So what I'm trying to do is to get you in the end to have one key left. You've eliminated everything else.
Okay.
And the one key left is the correct key.
Okay.
If you do not end up with the one key, then we all lose together. So
Okay.
we either all win together or we lose
Great.
together.
So it sounds like a co-op communication game.
It is. However, I can't talk to you.
Yep.
And I shouldn't smack my mic. I can't talk to you with words. I can only talk to you with pictures. And the way I do that is round one, I randomly draw one of these cards and I think to myself, does this have anything in common with the card I'm trying to get you guys to guess?
Mm-hmm.
And I can say, oh, it's green and this card's green and it's kind of a square rectangle shape and it has, so I can say, I can put that card here. Green
Okay.
means this card has a lot in common with the card I'm trying to get you to guess.
Okay.
Yellow means, kinda, but
Okay.
not, let's not go crazy.
Yep.
Yeah, red means there's really nothing in common.
Okay.
Don't focus on this.
So we're trying to get them to guess that.
We're trying to get them
so
to guess
like
this.
this.
Which sounds really easy.
This
when you
sounds
know
like
that.
a little bit.
A little
'Cause
bit.
It's squarish.
It's square.
Okay.
So you look for color, shape,
but then this sounds like, I would say nothing.
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 Yeah, what's in there.
Okay.
So first round, I'm laying down one card.
Okay.
And the team, you, has to eliminate one of these keys.
Okay.
And so you grab something that you think has nothing in common with this card.
I'm going to go with this.
All right. You
This
flip it over.
bunny hat thing.
You get a push the button on the app that you're good. And again, I said you have 3 minutes to do this.
Okay.
But you don't get to see that timer.
Sure.
The timer's invisible.
Okay.
So you just have to kind of, you can't really keep track of the time. You just have to hope you're going fast enough.
Yeah.
I look at this card and I go, yes or no. You either, if you flipped over the key, we all lose. If not, next round. And every round you have to eliminate one more key. So next round is 2, following round is 3, and then the last round is 4, and that will leave us with 1 key.
Okay.
However, in the meantime, I have this little stand here, which I'll face towards the camera. I grab the next 3 cards, throw them on these stands, like so, and then I evaluate them while you are guessing.
Okay.
And I put, there's these tokens in here that have the same colors here. So I can say this one's similar because it's green. I put a green token there. I can say whatever, this one is kind of like it, and put a yellow, and then I can do a red. And I can do any combination. I can do all red, all green, all yellow, or any combination. And then this is here so that you guys can't see. I lift it up. You then get to pick one of these. Stay in the thing. You get to pick one, and you also get to pick the thing, the clue that I put there.
Sure. Okay.
The thing clue.
Weird.
Yeah, so you have no idea what I'm picking. So now you pick the xylophone with dudes like drilling on it, and you see that it's red, and I'm saying this has nothing to do with the picture. And you can put it here, and then you can sort these based on that. So you can be like, as you're playing, you can kind of move things around where you think, like, I'm unsure of, I'm pretty sure it could be the key, and it's definitely not the key, sort of thing. And so now you'd remove 2, and then eventually 3, and then if at the end of the game you haven't removed this card, then we would all win.
Okay. So, like, to be honest, in short, it seems like this is, if you like Mysterium and Dixit,
Yes.
but you want something that is kind of a unique setup, kind of component-wise, that sounds what this is.
And if you don't care about sleeving your games,
Yes.
because it's never going to happen.
Correct.
But yeah, it's weird, and
It certainly seems like it. It's very, very dreamlike again. Like Dixit that way.
yeah.
So Mysterium, Dixit, but with very, very unique components.
Yes, and
Okay.
we played 3 games last night, and I think we won 1 of them.
Okay.
And it was like the greatest thing ever. Because
Yeah.
I was like, there's no chance. This game, it looks cute and easy. It's so hard because you have to mind meld of like, what are they seeing in this picture that I'm supposed to come down with, and putting them in the right spots, like saying this is yellow, so don't go crazy on this one.
Yeah, that is definitely the fun that I've had playing Mysterium, where you put out a clue, and then you have to sit there quietly while the players talk themselves out of what you thought was a very obvious answer.
Right. We actually had to, after 2 games, go, look, if I put something in yellow, that means it has like 1 thing in common.
Yep.
If I do green, it means it has more.
Yeah.
If it's red, it's nothing. And so it had a bit of a learning curve to get on the same page. But I really enjoyed it.
Neat. Yeah, like it seems hard to get. Well, it's from Libellude.
Yeah. Is that how you say
Libellude?
that?
I don't know.
I don't know.
But they've made a bunch of very, very good games. So
Gorgeous games. I think, I don't know, there's another name, When I Dream, it kind of reminded me of, just from the art style, but I've not played that one, so I'm not sure.
yeah, so like if you like communication games, if you like co-op games,
Yes.
Mysterium, Dixit, check this out.
Pretty much. And I only got to play it with 2 people, but I think playing with more.
Yeah.
And have you ever played, there's a game called Unusual Suspects, where you're trying, it's the
Yes.
same thing, you're trying to eliminate people based on the way they look. It's mildly racist, but in a fun way.
Is that? I don't think that's a thing.
Is that PC?
I don't think that's a thing.
But using your mind to like, how do they think is pretty weird. So playing it with someone I never met before would be pretty interesting.
So I think the last game that you brought was Conquest.
I think so. Yeah, we got through them all.
All right, so Conquest
It's a little heavier than these games
sounds a little beefy.
in gameplay and weight.
So this is a miniatures game.
This is a miniatures game for sure. Fantasy miniatures.
Okay. And there's a bunch of miniatures in here, but why don't we, instead of unpacking all these sprues and trying to get them back, you have a couple that looks like you've assembled. So I'm going to play with these.
That box is literally packed to the rim with just sprues, an instruction book, and bases.
These minis look weird.
They're super
I'm going to tell you
creepy.
right now.
So these guys, I don't know if people can see them. This is like your elf race. I've never seen. That's the closest thing they said. They're like elves, but they're very warped and demented, and things have happened. And so now they're like, they wear all these wraps, and they have this huge abomination thing, which I broke.
You've already broken.
I've already broken it.
Well, it looks like it was just super glued on.
Yeah, it's just super glue.
Yeah, so like it's just a little spot super glue you can stick back
I'll
on.
easily fix it, but I haven't been able to get the legs on yet. It takes some. Okay, here's.
Looks like it's pretty posable too, because that's not a solid joint. It's like
so that's kind of what they did. They don't have specific like it fits this way, it fits one way, if it's perfect, but you don't have any options. They give you a lot of options. You could put the hand however you want. That's what I was going to make him like. Oh no! See, yeah.
See,
having a blast. You have to put them together. It's a good thing I broke it. But there's no assembly instructions, so. It's a bit of a puzzle when, this arm is like 5 pieces, and there's
no assembly instructions at all.
There's no assembly instructions unless my copy is just defective.
Wow.
I got no assembly instructions.
I was about to say I don't believe you, but I mean you clearly went through this box.
So half this game is just putting it together, and that's about 3 years. And then when you're done with that, you get to paint it.
Okay.
And then you get to play it.
Great.
So there you go.
This is the rule book?
That's the rule book.
Okay.
Small, but very well put together. So far, I have loved
dense.
this rule book.
Okay.
If you have played games like Warhammer Fantasy in the past, not Age of Sigmar, but the stuff before that, you're really going to enjoy this game. It uses ranks and regiments and all that stuff. However, they're not necessarily, they don't have to be these gigantic ranks. There can be about, 8, 16 dudes in a regiment as opposed to 50.
Sure.
Which I think you probably can do, but that's not like starter suggested stuff. Also, they come with these stands that fit multiple bases in them.
Like movement trays, yeah.
They're little movement trays, so you can actually, it's a little easier to move your guys around.
Sure, sure.
But this game does a few things different than Fantasy. It kind of reminded me of more old school play. It's a European game from Parabellum, and it's got cards, like they call them command cards. So you have your character cards, and then you have other cards that let you do or give you things to do, I guess, as well. Sure. Other than just murdering your opponent.
Sure.
But yeah, basically.
So how does it play? Like what is this? Like on the Warhammer side of complexity, is it more like War Machine or Hordes, or is it completely different from both of those?
It's similar. More on the Warhammer side. Fantasy, old school rank and regiment style. But it does one major thing different, and that's deployment. So if you're not familiar with those kind of games, or you don't care at all, basically you bring your 2,000-3,000 point army. You spend an hour just putting your guys on the board and trying to strategically, okay, if I move 1 inch to the left, I won't hit that tree. You know what I mean?
Sure.
And it takes forever. Let's be honest. In this game, you actually roll every turn to deploy your units. And if you get a 3 or better, they come out. And then some things, if you get a 5 or better, they come out. But only on the first turn do light infantry get to come out. And then down the road, it's like turn 3, medium infantry get to come out.
So it's kind of like an escalating
Yeah,
game.
so it's like it's as if they're marching into the battle.
Okay.
And you'd have your light guys first, and then your medium, like, tanks and stuff in the middle, and then like big heavy missile launchers in the back, if you're talking like today.
Fantasy missile launchers.
This game, so you get a roll to see if they come on the battlefield, if they've arrived yet, and then if they haven't arrived by a certain time, they'll automatically come on a different round.
Sure, sure.
And so you'll have something like on this round.
Kind of seems like the reinforcement rules for Warhammer.
Yeah, it'd be like on this round, light infantry come on the battlefield on a 3, medium infantry come in on a 5. So you have to roll for it.
Sure.
And then, like I said, after time, if it gets easier every round, and then you end up with the big guys like this abomination here would come in late game. So you don't get to just start with this guy. I can't tell you how many games of Warhammer I've played where I have a buddy who has 1 catapult or 2 catapults on the other side of the board, and I have 5 million dudes over here. And turn 1, he destroys pretty much all of them, and they don't get to do a lot.
Okay.
And that's really frustrating. especially when I just spent time painting up 40 dudes.
Sure.
This game, that cannot happen. That is impossible.
Okay.
So you actually get in battles and use your guys before they just die.
So you have to use you have a couple turns where you have to use your basic troops.
Yes,
and before you can deploy your bigger ones.
You're also forced to move your guys. You can't just sit back, because if you do, and there's nowhere to deploy your units, they don't get to get deployed.
Sure.
So you need to move them out.
Interesting.
The other thing this game really does is, I will admit, it's not up to Games Workshop level of quality, but it's still pretty good as far as miniatures go, not necessarily gameplay. But you do get really good value for your money. There's around 70 miniatures in there, and it's an $85 MSRP.
Wow.
And this miniature here, which I'm still working on assembling, is actually by itself a $50 miniature.
Yeah,
so
I bet.
It's 2 armies big enough for everyone to play. These are the only 2 races they've released with are these weird, they're called spires. And then there's a human race of like knights and horses.
Boring.
And stuff like that. Yeah, I know. Who wants to be them? But
People
then they're also
Space
coming out with
Marines.
these cool like dwarf army that's kind of steampunky. They look different than your regular fantasy dwarves. And then they have a Viking army coming out. And there's like big dragon mount looking things. And pretty cool looking stuff. Cool. Definitely check them out on the internet so you can see the painted versions of their stuff.
Yeah, so like these minis are, the details are really going to be hard to see on the stream. But they're definitely they're a little bit warped and weird. You have the human faction is definitely like normal.
Yeah.
But then this faction is definitely weird, warped, scarred, bandaged.
They look like they've been through centuries of just bad things, depressing things.
That tends to be what happens in a war game.
I think so. And the humans are probably, they probably live in their castles and their luxury. I'm in a castle. My life is awesome. But then they don't like that. They're not having any of it. So they want that.
Okay, so when did this game come out?
It actually just came out, I believe, last week.
Okay.
Week and a half.
So week and a half, and they've already started coming out with some expansions, or have they just announced what they are?
There's a couple expansions already out, unreleased, more for these 2 armies. And then they're going to be constantly releasing more and more as time goes on. I think they're probably trying to sell some things so they can make more things. It's what it feels like.
But so this is, if you're into minis games and you want to try something with a little bit different deployment, it sounds like this is really interesting.
Yeah, it's a different take on something you're already familiar. Like I was reading the rules and I'm like, okay, this all makes sense. Yeah, I know this. Okay. But then I was like, oh wow, that's kind of a cool way to do things. Like you actually want to roll low in this game. Most games, it's like you roll d6s, you want a 6. 6 is awesome. 6 is the worst thing you can roll in this game. It is an automatic fail, and a 1 is an automatic victory.
Sure.
So that's
one of those roll low games.
Swapping your brain around is just
well. So the other thing we talked about, I actually brought Warhammer Apocalypse. Speaking of minis, because this also just came out, and this is also another huge miniatures thing. But this doesn't have any minis with it. Have you
just rules?
Yeah. Have you read up on this one yet?
Not on this one, but I have played Apocalypse in the past.
Sure. So
just not this new system.
Yeah. So this is a new version of Warhammer Apocalypse. It's so cool because it uses D12s.
Oh wow.
Basically, like there was too much awesome to handle on a D6.
Yeah, too much.
So they went up to D12s.
You get more results.
But the intent that they have for this one is that in Kill Team you play with like your squad and you move individual figures around,
which is really fun.
And then in 40K you play with your army and you have like some detachments, but you're moving like a unit here and a unit there at a time. In Apocalypse, it scales up again, where you're supposed to have a bunch of detachments in your army, and you activate the whole detachment, and the whole detachment.
And they're like one guy, basically.
Or just
in a way.
Yeah, like it's
5 guys is one guy.
Instead of the unit size, it's detachment size.
Yeah.
So all the units in the detachment go.
Yeah.
And they streamlined the rules a whole bunch to make it so that you should be able to play a full game with pretty much all of your miniatures in 4-ish hours or so,
instead
which
of
is way
a week and
faster.
a half. Yeah, no, definitely.
And they have the box comes with all of these command assets, which kind of replace the command points that were in 40K.
Right.
So instead of stratagems, you have these command assets. You have a deck building aspect to some degree.
Oh wow.
Where when you if you were, for example, to build. Well, here, I think this is the Heretic Astartes. So yeah, I'm building like my Death Guard army. Then there's some stuff that I get if I'm building a Heretic Astartes army, then like these I can now add to my deck. If I'm building an army that has Death Guard, then there's a couple in here that I can add to my deck.
So there's kind of like generic cards, and then there's race class specific. Okay.
So you basically build your army, and then for every warlord for each detachment you have, you draw one of your cards out of this 30-card deck that you have, and those are the command resources you have that turn to play with.
Oh wow. Yeah, it kind of reminds me of the RTS games they made, the Dawn of War series, where you don't, unlike like a Warcraft game where you spawn one unit, you spawn, or like one guy, you spawn a whole unit of guys, and then they fight together, and then when they're destroyed, they're gone.
Well, so that's the other interesting thing about this. Kind of in here, you were talking about how you have played games where you put your big stuff out and they've been wiped off the board.
Yeah.
They changed the way damage works in this.
Okay.
So that you, first of all, it's not I do all of my characters or all my models, you do all of your models.
I destroy all your stuff. And then
it is a back and forth where we activate one unit and then we go back and forth. So it's like Kill Team in that sense. But then even more, if I attack you and I shoot you and I wound you, we just put a blast marker on you.
Okay.
And then at the end of the round, we resolve all the attacks. So I might put a bunch of blast markers on you, so I know I'm going to do a bunch of damage to you, but we don't see if your unit is destroyed until the end of the round after you've had a chance to use it.
See, that's always something I didn't like about those games. Is literally, you get half your stuff wiped out.
Yep.
Oh, it's your turn.
So like because they want you to like come to the table with like 5 knights, and be able to feel like you got to use the knights.
Yes.
I
just spent $100 on this and painted it.
Yep.
I want to use it.
They resolve all the wounds at the end of the round after you got at least one round off with the knight.
That's awesome.
So that's the new kind of scale of Warhammer to play.
Right.
I'm excited to try it out. I haven't had a chance yet, but it does seem like the rules are much, much simpler.
Are there units in Apocalypse that can only be used in Apocalypse?
I don't think so.
They're really big.
Yeah, well, there's Lords of War, but you can use those in 40K. They just take up like half your army.
So I remember that was that Bane Blade, which was the giant tank.
Yeah, but with the release of that, they had a bunch of detachment boxes, and like there's 1 million Bane Blade boxes that came out too.
Okay.
But I think like the Bane Blade is like 1,000 points or 700 points or something like that. So you could deploy it in a normal 40K game, but it would be you have a tank and like 5 other guys.
See, I haven't played 40K for years, and I just got into Kill Team, and I'm thinking, okay, this is Warhammer Light, but it's super fun. I love just having these 5-10 guys that are super decked the way I want them and customized, and I love it. And I'm like, I'm just gonna play Kill Team, and then you only need a few guys, right? But you can get like 20 guys or so to change up your squad.
Yep.
And now I'm like, okay, I probably have enough guys to play Warhammer.
Yep, that's how it happened to me too.
And then now this is out, and I'm like, oh, well now I can use these cool looking tanks and stuff that I can't use in Kill Team.
Yep.
So I'm pretty sure I'm going to escalate and end up, instead of being like, I'm going to spend $50, $100 and have my army, I'm good to go, probably going to spend 500. So
yep, I think
I'm looking forward to that.
That is literally the end.
And then I'll start a second army.
That is the whole point of that entire business model.
It's such a good business model.
Buy a little bit, scale up. So I think the last thing that I want to mention is I brought some show and tell that I forgot to show during Table Takes. And if anybody plays D&D, you might know the Deck of Many Things. And this is the Deck of Many Animated Things, where it's like a Deck of Many Things. I don't know if you can zoom in on this, but the cards are holograms. Yeah.
They look awesome.
So they, like all the cards are holograms. So you just get to kind of draw and get a little bit more exciting than the usual kind of card game, or like a static card, basically. And this was just on Kickstarter. Like this just arrived from Kickstarter, basically. So I don't know when it will make it into stores, but everybody loves to joke about the crazy things that the Deck of Many Things has done to their game. So I figured that this would be something people would be interested in.
What do people do if they don't have this thing to use that deck?
Well, I mean, there's a bunch of other people who have made like decks of many things, or there's a chart that you can roll on and stuff like that.
Yeah, but charts are boring. These are animated pictures.
You can draw it, and you can see your own doom animating before you.
What's the worst thing you can get?
I think there's a couple instant deaths.
Oh wow.
There's a couple instant deaths. There's 1 or 2 like you've pissed off a demon and they're going to hunt you forever. There's also a couple like you get any magic item you want, or you get a million gold pieces or whatever, like that kind of stuff.
So high risk,
high risk, high reward. I mean, it's very old school D&D of like, draw this card, oh, you're dead. Draw this card, oh, you're a god.
Wow. So you either become dead or overpowered.
Something like that.
Okay.
That's why everybody's story about the Deck of Many Things is not like, man, it was this cool campaign built around it. It was this Deck of Many Things killed the campaign or messed everything up somehow. But like every other cursed item, people always come back to it.
Do you just have to make a new guy then? If you get, or do you get? Okay.
That's how it works, man.
That's how it works.
You got to put the risk out there if you want the reward.
Accept it.
So, I think that is it for this week's new release rundown. Thanks again for the short notice of coming out and bringing a bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
I think the next time we'll see you, I think, is after Gen Con on August 9th.
The 9th, yeah.
Great.
I'll be back, so maybe that helps you tune in, maybe it helps you tune out. I don't know, but I'll be here.
Everybody is happy that you're here.
That guy.
That store. But thanks again for Zulus for sending you out.
Thank you for having me. Absolutely.
And thanks everybody for joining us. And we will see you next week.